What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Run It Back Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, never had an intro. Do me a favor one time. Close out the chat and hit the like button if you're watching this live. If you're watching it on replay, give me 1 million likes on this stream, man. Couple things I want to talk about. Thanks for being here. This is probably the format we're gonna do. Usually a live show on Monday, maybe twice a week, maybe something, maybe more, maybe less. I don't ever know. In the words of my boy Theo Vaughn, I don't know what I'm doing. Shout out to everybody in here, man. Thanks for being here. Yeah. Let's get down to business, man. Is that everything I usually say in the beginning? Yeah. 80 people in here, man. Give me 80 likes. Listen to us on podcast platforms, all that stuff. I don't remember what I'm supposed to say. But a couple things we want to talk about for sure, okay? The Philadelphia 76ers leading up to the NBA draft. The NBA draft is on June 26th. And so right now it is June 3rd. The rumor mill and the talking points are going to continue to come out all the way up until the draft. And today we're going to talk about one major one that was dropped by Brett Siegel of Clutch Points. And then a couple of 76ers free agents that they want to bring back, which is kind of laughable. But, take everything with a grain of salt. We're just here to have some fun. Shout out to everyone in here. What are you guys talking about in the chat? If you guys trade for LeBron, the process is done. The funeral will commence. Yam Yos, I think we're going to say. I got news for you, Yam Yos. The process has been done. For a long time, man. The process has been done for a long time. If you're a betting man, you're not going to bet on this thing. You're not going to bet on this thing working. Me personally, I'm waiting for the inevitable mini rebuild around Tyrese Maxey in a couple of years, to be quite honest with you. But we're just here for fun, man. Carlos Rosado, exactly. I have a feeling the Sixers organization will find a way to fuck something up. Sixers AZ, what's good? What's up with the members in the chat? When does free agency begin? It is usually June 30th or July 1st, which is a couple days after the NBA draft. Maybe it's the day after the NBA draft. They changed the format of the draft this year. It's a 2-day draft for no reason. I don't know who the hell's tuning in to day 2 to watch the second round of an NBA draft on a completely separate day. But, yeah. I guess we'll watch day 2 because Bronny James might be in there. Unless one of these teams takes a big swing. This is the only real major talking point of this NBA draft. The draft class is not crazy. There's not a generational talent in there. There's not a Victor Wembanyama. There's not a LeBron James. There's nothing to really go crazy over in this NBA draft, okay? And so this Bronny James thing is really the only major talking point. And it is very interesting because of how unique it is. There's never been a time in history where a superstar, one of the greatest ever to play, his son is coming into the NBA draft, and there's rumors that teams want to draft him just because it could lure his father and be a superstar on the downside of his career, but still really, really good at damn near age 40. This is just a story that has never really happened before. So it is really interesting, and it's making the draft really interesting because people are going to be watching the draft not knowing what's going to happen. Bronny James is projected to go pick number 46, according to Brett Siegel's latest NBA mock draft. But teams could take him pretty high if they feel like it could lure LeBron James to their team. It's odd. It's very unique. It's just kind of crazy, because it's like there's never been I don't feel like there's ever been a player that's projected that late in a draft who you wouldn't be shocked if he went at number 16. So the draft is definitely going to be interesting, just really for that, for the Bronny James thing. Let's just look at Brett's article and then talk about it a little bit. News story on Clutch Points. The 76ers have been rumored to join the Bronny James discussion. And here's the article. Okay. Shout out to Brett Siegel for giving us some off-season things to talk about. Whether it's true or not. Bronny James recently made the decision to keep his name in the draft. Yada, yada, yada. Don't care about that. Bronny's draft range is wide. Paul told ESPN recently, this is Rich Paul, Clutch Sports owner and LeBron James agent, Bronny James agent, Tyrese Maxey agent, Rich Paul. Bronny's draft range is wide. That's what I just said. He's a really good prospect who has a lot of room for growth. It only takes one team. I don't care where that team is. It can be number 1 or 58. I do care about the plan, the development, the team's strategy, the opportunity, and the financial commitment. That's why I'm not doing a two-way deal. Every team understands that. Okay. Let's talk about Rich Paul first. No, let's not talk about Rich Paul, but let's read through. Let's read between the lines of what this dude's saying right here. Rich Paul does not believe that Bronny James is a high-level NBA talent. I refuse to believe that Rich Paul believes that. I refuse to believe that Rich Paul actually believes that Bronny James is a really good prospect. I refuse to believe that the plan and the development has anything to do. I refuse to believe that the development plan for Bronny James has anything to do with this. Unless LeBron James actually believes that Bronny James has a lot of NBA potential and LeBron is interested in the proposed development plan for his son. Obviously, when it's your son, you're going to have a skewed reality. This is just like any local high school team where the coach's son continues to get minutes over the player who's clearly better because the coach believes in his own child more than anyone, because it's a skewed reality, because it's your own blood, which is why coaches shouldn't coach their own kids, and probably LeBron James shouldn't be involved in his son being drafted in the NBA. But we're here because sports politics is a real thing. But I don't think this really has anything to do with Bronny James. I don't think Rich Paul really is focused on Bronny and what team wants the best development for him, unless that's what LeBron's telling Rich, which that could also be the case. The financial commitment, I mean, that's why we're not doing a two-way deal. I don't understand. I don't necessarily know anything about the money or how much money they feel like Bronny James is worth. They probably feel like he's worth more money than he really is. But there's a quote from Rich Paul on Bronny James. A variety of teams have looked to secure a pre-draft workout with Bronny since his performances at the NBA Draft Combine in Chicago. While he has received over 10 workout requests, James and Paul are being selective and declining invitations, according to the Athletic's Shams Charania. However, Bronny will visit the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Lakers. So, like, I don't like this whole thing, really, because, LeBron and everybody should be being realistic about Bronny James. And the fact that Bronny James is even being talked about being drafted in the NBA is otherworldly when you really look at his production in high school and college, his size, his skill set. They should be, I know you're LeBron James, I get it. And I know you're Rich Paul, I get it. But y'all should be happy that anybody wants to work out Bronny James. And they're out here declining workout requests. This is a bit of a recipe for disaster for Bronny James himself. You got He already has the expectations of LeBron James being his dad, right? He's not going to live up to that. Everybody knows that. He's not even close to the same size or athleticism. But now you're kind of putting this like better than thou celebrity kind of vibe behind him with this like, oh, we're going to turn down workout requests. Bronny is only working out with certain teams. This is kind of giving me like, I don't know, childhood star type of vibes, you know? Like, it never really works out because you're putting a kid in a position that they really aren't ready for. And so if Bronny is size, skill-wise, not an NBA talent, and you're putting him into the draft, and then you're putting these kind of things behind him like this, like he's too good to work out for these 10 teams, we're only selecting certain ones. It to me, it has the potential to amplify his deficiencies, you know? Wouldn't you just want him to be a part? Wouldn't you want to just realistically look at him as a 6'1" guard, I guess, who's not really a good enough ball handler or passer or facilitator to be a point guard, who's not really big enough or a good enough shooter to be a shooting guard, who's definitely not big enough to be a small forward, who wouldn't you just want him to be a part of an NBA team for his own sake, so there's not all this pressure on him? So if he isn't that great, he can just be Giannis Antetokounmpo. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I could rant about this for a long time, but apparently the Phoenix Suns and Los Angeles Lakers are the two teams that they've accepted workouts for. As the 2024 NBA draft nears, more chatter surrounding Bronny and where he could possibly end up has occurred. In addition to the Suns and Lakers being viable destinations for Bronny, the Philadelphia 76ers have emerged as a third possible suitor for the 19-year-old. LeBron is expected to opt out of his contract with the Lakers, making him an unrestricted free agent. In recent weeks, the 76ers have been linked to the NBA's all-time leading scorer. There have been recent whispers in league circles about Philadelphia being an organization that would do what it takes to try and lure LeBron James from the Lakers. The Sixers were a team that originally inquired about LeBron's availability at the trade deadline in February. So there's that. My take on Bronny James, again, is that Bronny James is not, I don't think he's an NBA talent. Any other kid that averaged 5 points per game for a college team who's 6'1" and isn't a lights-out sniper of a shooter is not even being talked about as being drafted in the NBA. Those kids are lucky to even make it to the G League. You know what I'm saying? And I know everybody wants to do this. I saw the Kevin Garnett clip where he, for some reason, threw Kobe Bryant's name out there and said, like, y'all saw Kobe when he came in the league? This clip from Kevin Garnett was crazy. I put it on my Instagram. He said, y'all saw Kobe when he came in the league? He wasn't MVP level when he came in the league. Buddy, Kobe Bryant in high school averaged, listen to me closely. Bronny James in high school averaged 8 points per game and 4 rebounds and 2 assists. Kobe Bryant in high school averaged 30 points per game, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, and 4 blocks. And Kevin Garnett tried to bring up this Bronny James has the potential, like, dog in him. That it was just crazy. There's no reason to say the name Kobe Bryant when talking about Bronny James. Okay? Everybody's putting way too much pressure on this kid. He realistically shouldn't even be in the NBA draft. But here we are. I want to talk about what I think about LeBron James on the Sixers. So, here's why it is realistic for the Sixers to draft Bronny James, or any team to draft Bronny James, to lure LeBron James to them. I had some conversations over the weekend with some friends hanging out, And two of my friends got in a very heated debate, which was hilarious, about Bronny James, LeBron James, how he could come into the league and why. And my take was this. The only reason Bronny James is here, and the only reason a team would draft him is to try to get LeBron James. LeBron James on the downside of his career is still very, very good. Still can help your team a lot, especially if he's not going to be expected to be the leading scorer. It makes sense for LeBron to find a roster right now where he's not expected to be the leading scorer. And it makes sense for another team, if they were going to do this to try to get LeBron, knowing that they don't want to expect him to be the leading scorer. Then he can just be a shell of himself for a couple years, which is still incredible. As far as just basketball IQ, floor general, the dude's always had a point guard mindset. He's always been a Magic Johnson mixed with, like, I don't know, just a more athletic Magic Johnson type, who developed a pretty good three-point shot over the course of his career. But the only reason this would work, one of my boys was saying that LeBron's not leaving LA, doesn't matter where Bronny goes. And I was like, no. Here's why LeBron James will go wherever Bronny goes. Because LeBron James is obsessed with LeBron James. And that's a blessing and a curse for a lot of people. I believe that the only way people get to this level, greatest of all time discussion level, is by being that borderline sociopath, being obsessed with themselves, being obsessed with the game, being obsessed with their own numbers and their own legacy. There's a reason Tom Brady continues to probably come back to the NFL again. Like, these people, it's been their entire life, and they've been hyper-focused on being the best every single day, and that's all they know, and they're obsessed with it. LeBron James has nothing left to prove. He has the scoring record. He has a longevity thing that we've never seen before in the NBA. He's the first 30,000 points, 8,000 rebounds, 8,000 assists player in history. Yeah, his finals record is not Michael Jordan, and you can debate that back and forth. I don't even compare the two because they're two totally different types of players, so I don't really like to have that conversation. But essentially, he's done all there is to do when it comes to NBA basketball. What's left? He wants to be the first player to play on the same team with his son. And it has nothing to do with Bronny James. It has everything to do with LeBron James' legacy. It has everything to do with adding another notch on the LeBron James legacy chart. First player to do this, first player to do this, first player to do this, first player to play on an NBA team with his son. That's what he wants. Because I think at the end of the day, LeBron James or any great athlete who's dedicated their entire life to something, all they're worried about towards the end of their career is how are you going to be remembered and what are you leaving behind? And I feel like he wants to leave a legacy behind it's going to be very difficult to touch. And that's why this is probably going to happen. Because at the end of the day, LeBron James is obsessed with LeBron James. That's really how I feel about it. As far as LeBron James on the Sixers, I think it makes perfect sense. I think it makes perfect sense. Again, LeBron should be looking for a roster where he's not expected to be the leading scorer. I think the Sixers should be looking for a player that can help them on a very high level, but who's not expected to be the main scorer, who's not a guy that's going to take the ball out of Tyrese Maxey's hands per se, or Joel Embiid, and can just fit in and really elevate the players around him. And for LeBron, I think he could kind of transition into a different version of himself for the next 2 or 3 years if he wants to play that long, and really be more of a point guard, Magic Johnson style LeBron James compared to what he was throughout his whole career. And I really do think a roster like the 76ers makes more sense for LeBron than a lot of other teams in the league because you got Joel and you got an emerging Tyrese Maxey, and he can just be that 6'7", 260-pound point guard for a couple of years and elevate the players around him. LeBron has always been a floor raiser. You know? He took Zydrunas Ilgauskas to the NBA Finals. Mo Williams was an all-star. Mo Williams, who the fuck is Mo Williams, bro? You know what I mean? At 24 years old, by the way. 22, something crazy. And I think it would be really good for the Sixers to have him for a couple years. I think it really would be. And the roster in LA is not competing for anything in the Western Conference anytime soon. There's at least 5 teams that are clearly better contenders than the Lakers right now in the West. And they don't really have many assets to make that roster any better. So for LeBron to go back to LA, that doesn't even really make any sense. I know people are saying they expect him to re-sign with LA, but somebody needs to tell me why. How can they improve that roster to make them contenders? If he's only going to play for 2 more years, why would he want to suck again, bro? They just got swept 2 years in a row. I honestly do not see LeBron James returning to the Lakers. It just doesn't make any sense. I see LeBron James retiring before returning to the Lakers. You saw how they went out this year, and in his post-game press conference, he was like, it's just basketball. Like, he doesn't care anymore. Because why would he? There's nothing left to care about. He might just retire. I don't see him wasting his time going back to a team that everybody knows doesn't have a chance in the Western Conference. Are the Suns really a team that LeBron would want to go to? I don't know the answer to that either. It's crazy to say, but the 76ers, I feel like, make the most sense. I think it could really happen, man. I really do. What do you guys think, bro? Wemby's going to put Bronny on a poster. That'd be cool. LeBron sounds like a helicopter mom. I don't think Bronny wants to play with his dad having him on a leash. That's interesting. I would like to hear probably Bronny's opinion on the situation, you know, because LeBron could turn into like the LeVar Ball of NBA players. Remember when Lonzo was finally like, Dad, shut up. You know what I mean? I'm doing my own thing. I'm not wearing the big baller brand shoes. Leave me alone. Let me live my own life. LeBron doesn't want to retire in damn Philly. Is it about where he wants to retire? Or is it about wanting to be good for a couple more years? Because if he doesn't want, if he would say, I'm not going to Philly, I don't want to retire there, then why doesn't he just retire right now? I'm asking y'all, what is the point of LeBron James going back to the Lakers to get swept again? Because Anthony Davis can't carry that team anywhere. The only reason he will stay in LA is that his wife wants to stay. Happy wife. Amon 1, bro. I don't want to get into this topic entirely, but if you don't think that LeBron James is the one leading the way in his own family, then I don't know what to tell you. LeBron James' wife is LeBron James' wife. She's going to go wherever LeBron James goes. When he said it's just basketball, I felt like he was sarcastically repeating something Darvin Ham said. I'm not going to lie, if we had LeBron instead of Harris, we probably could win a ring. Exactly. And why not? Swing for the fences for a couple more years because LeBron and Joel Embiid might retire at the same time. Let's call it what it is. And then you move on to, you know, flipping it up and trying to build around Tyrese Maxey. Now, if maybe Daryl Morey's not here by then, maybe Josh Harris sells the team by then, or the Sixers continue to just do things the wrong way for another 20 years and nothing good ever happens. I don't know. I would probably bet on that. Now, I want to talk about the rumors about who the Sixers want to bring back in free agency, because I think it's funny. And I have a very negative outlook on this team right now and the possibility of them doing the right thing this offseason? Absolutely. I had a negative outlook after 2 seasons ago. I had a negative outlook after last season. This offseason, bro, you're not going to get much positivity from me when it comes to this team, when it comes to Daryl Morey, when it comes to ownership, when it comes to expecting the 76ers to do the right thing. And some of the players that they're interested in bringing back, I have some opinions on, all right? But first, this episode of Run It Back Philly is brought to you by GameTime Ticket App. Shout out to GameTime. Thank you for sponsoring the channel. GameTime is an authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying sporting event tickets. Check it out. The Philadelphia Phillies versus the Milwaukee Brewers tonight in Philly. You go to gametime.co or you download the app and you get these crazy flash prices. Here's one for $88. This little fire emoji is the cheapest seat in the house, $44. You know what I mean? You can go to a dope Phillies game tonight for $50 using GameTime. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. Let's get down to business, man. 270 people in here. Hit the like button for me one time. Here's what else I want to talk about. Let me go to Philly Sixers Galaxy. Here it is. Okay, a couple of things from Kyle Neubeck on the Philly Sports podcast. I forget what the title of it is, but shout out to Kyle. Kyle said there are 3 players the Sixers are interested in bringing back in free agency: Nicholas Batum, Kyle Lowry, and Kelly Oubre. Yes, you heard me right. Nicholas Batum, who damn near retired before he suited up for the Sixers, Kyle Lowry, and Kelly Oubre. I think we all unanimously would like Kelly Oubre to return to the Sixers. I think Kelly Oubre brings a level of athleticism and a just straight up fight, fiery dog mentality to this team that really nobody outside of Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid have. Joel Embiid, I think, has that mentality. A lot of times he shows a little bit less fight than everybody would like. Tyrese Maxey absolutely has that mentality. Ricky Council has that mentality, but apparently Ricky Council has to be a 28-year-old, 7-year veteran to get any playing time. So Kelly Oubre is that guy that at least we know Nick Nurse will play and can bring that dog mentality, athleticism to this team that they've been missing for a long time. So I think Kelly Oubre is definitely a player that everybody unanimously is like, yes, please bring him back. If for nothing more than the vibes. You know what I mean? I want a guy on my team with cool hair who's going to look at a referee and say, your mom's a bitch, your grandma's a bitch, you're a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Bring back Kelly Oubre. Nicholas Batum and Kyle Lowry. Let's just read this and then I'll give my opinion on it. Nicholas Batum, Kyle Neubeck said, I do think Nicholas Batum is going to be a fairly big priority for the Sixers. I would look for Batum as a likely return. And then they also said there's mutual interest between the Sixers and Kyle Lowry about the 38-year-old returning next season. The sticking point there will probably come down to money and role. I don't think that Lowry wants to be a minimum guy, if I had to guess. The Philadelphia 76ers are rumored to be mostly interested in bringing back Nicholas Batum and Kyle Lowry. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is their priority, Daryl Morey will continue to overvalue older players. He said in that end of season press conference too, he tried to basically say that age doesn't really matter that much anymore in the NBA, and players can play a lot longer than they used to, etc. If the Sixers re-sign two of the oldest guys on the roster, and that's their major move, like imagine they max out Paul George and they re-sign Kyle Lowry and Nicholas Batum. I don't have a good feeling about this at all. Kyle Lowry's 38. He's going to be 39. He does not have any gas left in the tank. Not only that, Nick Nurse loves him and is delusional about him, which I predicted from the jump that was going to happen. I was like, Kyle Lowry's probably going to be a starter. And people are like, he's not going to start, bro. He's going to come off the bench for like 10 minutes. He's 39 years old. And I was like, do you have any idea what Nick Nurse thinks of Kyle Lowry? And look what happened. 40 minutes a game. The guy's in the starting lineup. And we loved it for a while because he was still giving the team something that they lacked. And it was good for a long time. But what we were all missing was the fact that he's 39 and is just going to burn out, bro. And in the playoffs, you witnessed it. Kyle Lowry burned out in Game 5 and Game 6 and gave you back-to-back goose eggs and still played 40 minutes on the floor. And he's too old. He's too old. The 76ers need young athletes. Daryl Morey already did the 37-year-old PJ Tucker bullshit. The guy couldn't shoot a three because his legs are rubber, because he's 37. 37 in basketball is 100, yo. I'm frustrated about it. It just pisses me off. Because you got other NBA teams out here playing young athletes and going into the Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Final. The Pacers were out there because they were playing guys. Andrew Nembhard. And here are the Sixers again. You know, a dude like Ricky Council, who showed so much of what the team needs off of the bench, played 0 minutes in the playoffs. And Kyle Lowry and Nicholas Batum played 100 minutes a game until they couldn't move their legs and had to go to Cancun on a walker or a motorized wheelchair. And now they're out here. Oh, our two biggest priorities are Nicholas Batum and Kyle Lowry. Man, give me a damn break. We're getting closer to the draft and just, bro, somebody tell me why I should be excited. I want to know. Somebody please put something in the chat that would make me say, you know what, that does have me excited for what's about to happen. Jabal, right, what's up, man? Thanks for being a member of the channel. Our team is going to be called the Retirement Home with LeBron James, Kyle Lowry, Nicholas Batum. Yeah. I keep saying, Maury, swing for the fences, right? But don't swing for the fences with a bunch of old guys. You know? That's like a baseball team full of like Ryan Howard's on the last 2 years of his contract. Remember that? Cooked. Used to be good. Now us Sixers fans know why Nick Nurse was fired. Yeah, and the thing about Sixers fans and Nick Nurse, you know me, bro. You know me. I got a clean slate with basically anybody. Any coach that comes in, any GM that comes in, they got a clean slate. I don't care what he did in the past. I'm looking at what he did in his lone season as a Sixers head coach. I liked a lot of it. I hated a lot of it. And when it came to the playoffs and the rotations, I absolutely hated it. A lot of Sixers fans don't want to say that because they don't want to be negative about a coach right away. They want to be like, listen, it was his first year. We did this, or that. He had Tobias Harris. The GM and the owner was forcing his hand to make him play Tobias, which is, I find that hard to believe too. I mean, like, what was Josh Harris doing? Did he have him did he have him tied up in a basement saying, like, play Tobias Harris in the fourth quarter of pivotal games or we're not going to let you out? Like, I don't get it. You would think Nick Nurse would have been more interested in his own reputation and legacy to try to win, to try to get the team out of that first round series than to be forced to play Tobias Harris. But a lot of Sixers fans don't want to. They don't want to do it yet. They want to say, "Listen, it was his first year, whatever," and that's fine. I'm pretty much on board with that. All I'm saying is Nick Nurse is not free of any smoke. I'll give him the smoke, bro. And he pissed me off in the playoffs. I don't care who was behind it. I don't care if he was forced to play Tobias Harris, whatever it was. I didn't like it. So he's got a job to do this upcoming season because, what Raptors fans said to me when we hired him, it kind of looked like a little bit true in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Let's do this before we get out of here. There's a post by my dude here at Phyllis Sixers Galaxy, which is a perfect Sixers offseason. Okay, check this out. They posted it a couple days ago, May 31st. Shout out to everybody in here. Prime Time, thanks for subscribing to the channel. Appreciate that. Shout out to everybody. Hit the like button, man. We're chilling. We're having a good time. We're talking Sixers offseason stuff just for fun. Philly Galaxy, myself and Sixer Daily. Shout out to Sixer Daily. Shout out to all my Twitter and Instagram pages that cover this team and continue to give me content. They created a Sixers offseason scenario that includes the acquisitions of Paul George and Alex Caruso. And just let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments, is this one of the perfect offseason scenarios for the 76ers? Because Daryl Morey could hit a home run this offseason. I think he has to. I think his back is against the wall. I think he has to hit a home run or he's in big trouble. And you got a lot of cap space. You know, the Paul George rumors are out there. You got picks to trade. The Alex Caruso Chicago Bulls imploding rumors are out there, even though the Chicago Bulls keep telling everybody they're interested in winning. Yeah, everybody's interested in winning, bro. It doesn't mean you can, right? DeMar DeRozan, who knows if he leaves. The Chicago Bulls are a dumpster fire. Call it what it is. They need to trade Alex Caruso. They need to trade DeMar DeRozan. They need to trade Zach LaVine. But Zach LaVine's not easy to trade because he's not worth $57 million a year. Anyway, shout out to Philly Sixers Galaxy and Sixer Daily. And here's their Sixers offseason scenario, part 1. All right. Contract extensions and free agent signings. Contract extensions. Joel Embiid signs a 3-year, $193 million contract extension. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. But you're going to re-sign. If Joel is up for an extension, you're going to re-sign him no matter what. He's one of the, whether he gets it done or not, whether he stays healthy or not, we just have to live with the results. But at the end of the day, he's one of the best talents to ever put on a Sixers jersey. You're going to give him a contract extension. Tyrese Maxey, 4-year, $205 million contract extension. Yes, 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 more yes, more yes, more yes. I'm only upset that he couldn't get that extra $40 million because he didn't get voted to an All-NBA team. Yes, give him all the money you possibly can. I'm so happy that Tyrese Maxey is a part of this team. It should, so the future isn't totally bleak. We have a young, just energetic, positive, hardworking, potential NBA superstar for the next, hopefully, 10 years. So the Sixers remain relevant, is what I would at least like to believe. Shout out to Jason Clark for becoming a member of Sicko Nation. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the support. So, yeah, sign Tyrese Maxey, obviously, right? Free agent signings. Paul George, 4 years, $180 million. So they give Paul George the max, I guess, that he's looking for. I mean, I don't know where you got this 180 from. The rumors really are that Paul George wants $212 million, which is the max contract I think that he could get. Rumors that the Clippers don't want to offer that. They want him to sign something like what Kawhi signed, which is 3 years, 150 something. I think the Sixers would have to go a little bit higher than 180 to get this done. But also, swing for the fences, man. Paul George as a third option. I don't care what anybody thinks. He's old. He's this, he's that. If you really look at his injury history, it's not that crazy. It's not even close to Joel Embiid's, and if Joel gets hurt, you're done anyway. But the only way that I really look at Paul George is I say to myself, if the Sixers had Paul George instead of Tobias Harris, would they have gotten out of that New York Knicks series? My answer to that is yes. Would they then have beat the Indiana Pacers? My answer to that is yes. Would the Sixers have been in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics? My answer to that is yes. So that's the only way to look at it. The goal is to try to get the 76ers to the NBA Finals. For the next couple of years, it's always going to involve playing the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's just all they're trying to do. So if you sign Paul George 4 years, 180, sure. If there's some team options at the end of it, that would be nice. So if he's totally cooked in year 3, you can just get rid of him. You're going to end up screwed at the end of the day with the money. But for the next 2 years, they're going to swing for the fences. Sign Paul George, 4 years, 180 million, whatever. I don't even think you get him for 180. Like I said, I think you got to go 200. Paul George is not worth that contract. I completely agree, but you got to do it. I don't think anybody thinks he's worth that contract. But you could look at sports in general and say, is this player worth $200 million? Probably not. If the world was perfect, we'd be giving $200 million to people that are making a change in the world, not sports athletes. Nobody's worth $200 million, bro. Anyway, Andre Drummond, 2 years, $8 million. Yes. Andre Drummond's still relatively young. People don't realize that just because he looks old in the face, I think. I love Andre Drummond, but he's a dude that's looked like 35 his whole career. Just big, just big kind of like big old looking dude. But I think he's like 29. He might be 30, but I think he's like 29. How old is Andre Drummond? He's 30. Okay. Andre Drummond's 30. 2 years, $8 million. Yeah, hell yeah. You saw what he did last year when he finally started getting some minutes over Vucevic or they what's his name, Billy Donovan. Is he still the coach in Chicago? Started staggering him and Vucevic more or whatever. There was in the beginning he couldn't get any playing time, and then when he got the playing time, he was still an elite rebounder. And the 76ers haven't been able to find a backup center that didn't implode the team anytime Joel Embiid sat on the bench since they had Andre Drummond. Is it hustling backwards? Of course it is, because this team has no idea what they're doing ever. But if they could fix the Daryl Morey, James Harden trade mistake, at least part of it, by getting Andre Drummond back on 2 years, $8 million, absolutely. If they had a competent ownership group or management who could really, do things, they would be drafting players that they could use at that position, a la Derek Lively or Charles Bassey, who, hey, they did draft, but Daryl let walk away. Was that Doc Rivers calling the shots? Was that Josh Harris? Nobody will ever know. Maybe one day somebody will be on a podcast spilling all the beans, and we'll get word that actually this whole thing was run by stupid 3 or 4 of these billionaire owners that just kept telling the GM and the coach what to do and continue to ruin the team. But anyway, bring Buddy Hield back on 3 years, $27 million. 3 years for Buddy Hield. Yeah, I like it. Sixers fans, we gotta realize when it comes to Buddy Hield that he's just a 3-point shooter off the bench. One of the best catch and shoot guys in the NBA. Actually, the best numbers-wise catch and shoot guy in the NBA in the last couple of years. He went ice cold for a couple games, yeah, but he did get it back. Like in Game 6, he had dropped 20. I think was that Game 5 or Game 6. But there's always a narrative that the Sixers don't have enough shooting. I would say try not to let Buddy Hield leave, because you need that guy that can get hot from 3. And Buddy Hield is one of those guys, one of those very rare shooters that once he's locked in and once he finds the range, he doesn't miss. He gets hot. And he doesn't miss. So he's super streaky, just like any NBA shooter. But I think he has a ton of value, especially for this roster, and it's always valuable to have that kind of guy. So And he has a little bit of playmaking ability. 3 years, $27 million. Sure, do it. Kelly Oubre, 3 years, $30 million. Absolutely. Already talked about Kelly Oubre. I like all of these things. If this would happen, I would be happy. I would be happy at this right here. And I know people look at the Paul George thing again or whatever and say, no, he's not worth that. There's no other options, guys. You can only do what you have available. So with what the Sixers have available, if this would happen, I would be happy. It probably wouldn't work because it's never going to work. It's the Sixers. But I would be happy going into next season with that. Taurean Prince on a vet minimum and Kyle Lowry on a vet minimum. I guess I don't hate Taurean Prince on a vet minimum. That's just a a utility kind of guy who could come off of the bench, has some veteran, is a veteran, has some veteran experience. And Kyle Lowry on a vet minimum, even though the rumor is that Kyle Lowry wants more than a vet minimum, which is hilarious. Kyle, you're not worth more than a vet minimum. You're 100 years old. Alex Caruso and Paul Reed trades they also threw in here. The Sixers land Alex Caruso by trading the 16th overall pick and 3 second-rounders. Yes. I don't need much more to say than that. Yes. Alex Caruso, for those that don't know, is literally known as the best defender in the NBA. The guy's locked as locked down as lockdown can be. He just stonewalls people. And on the offensive side, he's got some point guard facilitating ability, not really known as a scorer, averages 9 points a game, but he's really a really good utility player who just gives you a defensive identity. And with a guy like Caruso being on your team, I think it elevates everybody around him defensively also. When you see a guy play defense the way that he plays it, it makes everybody else want to play it that way. And so he brings the best out of a team defensively, I think. Yes, to Caruso. I mean, the Sixers, yes, they need a guy like that. And they trade Paul Reed and a second. Wait, they trade Paul Reed to the Spurs. They trade a second rounder to the Hawks for AJ Griffin and a 2026 second rounder. A Paul Reed trade. I got to be honest, I don't know much about AJ Griffin. I think AJ Griffin's like a young power forward type, right? I don't know much about AJ Griffin. But Paul Reed trade, I think, is best for both sides. I know we re-signed him. I know we were happy to re-sign him, but for some reason, Paul Reed just became completely unplayable in the playoffs. And bringing him back to Philly, especially if in this scenario you sign Andre Drummond, for the sake of the Sixers and Paul Reed, I think a trade would be good for both sides. And so here's a projected rotation with all of these moves that Philly, Sixers, Galaxy, and Sixer Daily came up with. And the starting lineup would be Tyrese Maxey, Alex Caruso, Paul George, Kelly Oubre, and Joel Embiid. And the bench would be Kyle Lowry, Buddy Hield, Ricky Council, Taurean Prince, Andre Drummond. This is obviously probably not going to happen. But I think, yeah, in a perfect world, if this would happen, this team would be in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics next year. Especially if these idiots give this guy right here the playing time that he deserves. Yeah. And remaining assets includes 2030 and 2031 first-round picks, includes second acquired. The Sixers would then have 7 first-round picks, 6 second-round picks, and a future pick swap. Now, that was just for fun. Is that going to happen? Absolutely not. Is anything even close to that going to happen? Absolutely not. And are the Sixers going to come back and fall flat on their face once again? Yes, they absolutely are. There's no reason for us to believe they're not going to do that. But we can dream, can't we? Jabbar, right, instead of Alex Caruso, I would actually try to sign him Chris Dunn, who is lesser version but way cheaper. I agree Chris Dunn is a lesser version. I agree he's way cheaper. But why are we concerned about price at this point? You know? Why are we concerned about price? The Sixers have to try to win before Joel Embiid is done. They have to. This is like, you know, you needing to get to a certain country. And you're looking at plane tickets saying like, yeah, that'll give me a best chance to get there in time, but it's going to run me dry. If I get this cheaper ticket, I might make it halfway and crash in the middle of the ocean. You know? You're if it's a Sixers vibe, you're crashing in the middle of the ocean no matter what. But you might as well pay the big money to try to get it done. What a ridiculous analogy that was. And that's right about when I get off of here, because now I'm just rambling and saying nonsense. Thank you guys for tuning in, man. I love you guys. We're doing this all off season. Hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. Join my Discord. Link is in the description. Continue the conversation. Continue to give me talking points all off season, because we're Sixers sickos, you know? And when I'm out and about and people are like, yo, he has a podcast, he has this, he's a YouTuber, he's, you know, and they're like, oh, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the Phillies right now? Are you talking about the Eagles training camp about to come? I'm like, no, we talk Sixers every day. They're like, you talk Sixers every day? I'm like, it sounds crazy, bro. But that's why it is what it is. It is crazy. I'm doing something nobody else on the planet Earth would ever think about doing. I love you guys, man. I'm out.